Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
Beautiful day we have here in Chautauqua County. As always, the sun is shining and the temperatures are way up. It's in the 40s now down in Westfield. And it's just a great time. Get out there and enjoy yourself. You know, the fish are still biting. Don't go out in the ice, so I don't think that would be a cool move. We have lots of news going on. I look at the TV, though, and I wonder what's going on in the Congress. Nothing, apparently. The Congress passes sort of normal laws, but nothing new, nothing great, nothing interesting. They did finally settle on a budget, though. Praise the Lord. And they're trying to get rid of Obama's health care program. Still, I don't think that will happen because it affects so many people positively. Some other people, of course, the insurance companies are fighting every way. They're raising everybody's insurance rates, saying it's going to be catastrophic, and they're canceling people right and left, and they're just going through all kinds of crazy things just to get rid of the law. But it ain't going away, folks. I got news for you. We've had a 50-year battle to try to get in sync with the rest of the world and have national health care of some kind, and it looks like it's finally happening. Not over the dead body of the insurance companies, of course, who have $1 trillion worth of billings. Trillion, that's 1,000 billion worth of billings that they're going to lose. But at any rate, maybe they can fall into shape here. Instead of charging 30%, they just charge 5% like the Obama plan does. All right, guys, lots of things happening. We got a great guest with us, Fred Crosscut, Chautauqua County Legislator, and soon to be retired and heading out into the woods and spending some time with his wife and getting away from all the craziness in Chautauqua County for a minute anyway, right? We'll talk to Fred very shortly. He's got a lot to talk about. Now, Chautauqua County is, our legislature here is moving toward a possible increase in taxes. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. We'll have to check with Fred on that. He's estimated that it could be as much as 20%. And my God almighty, we're already the highest taxed county in the United States right now. And God help us. Will there be anybody left to pay the taxes? They're all leaving. People are hiking up their skirts and britches and running for all they're worth out of Chautauqua County. Let's hope out of New York State, actually. It's New York State. And the so-called easy on taxes program is just laughable. All right, guys. enough happening. We got some local news from the seniors around here and other things. I got a mention. I want to mention the Mason Funeral Home. I was dying to go over there and get a calendar. They have the most beautiful calendars, and they are just terrific. And so I want to thank you, Scott and Debbie Mason, for the calendars. I get them every year for 20 years now. They have Norman Rockwell pictures on them, which are really gorgeous. Zonta Club is doing a lot of things. I just wanted to give you a quick mention. Somebody sent me this. Let me put the cheaters on here. This is pretty fine print for me at the age of 74. They're having a calendar of cash fundraiser, and they do Lily's Hope, which services women going through cancer treatment, which is many cases it's breast cancer, of course. They have the Salvation Army Agnes Home for women and children in abusive relationships, a place where they can go and get away. And the calendars cost $20. I give you 6 months of chances to win based on the New York State Lottery. How about that? You might win some money, up to $200 maybe. The minimum prize is $40. So get in on this. Why not? It's kind of fun. If you're interested, contact Zonta, or you can contact the Office for the Aging and speak to Dr. Mary Ann Spanos, who is a director. And she's the only Greek person we've ever had on this program. Slovaki, she knows how to make it. It's great. But then she says her husband does a lot of the work. Okay, anyway, Zonta, support Zonta. Get one of those $20 calendars. They're beautiful calendars. And you get a shot at the New York State Lottery for a long, long time. Enough said about that. I got a couple of notes here about the seniors. We're cutting them a little short because we've got Fred on and we have a lot to talk about. All right, the Dunkirk seniors, they're accepting reservations for the January 12th gala, and it's a big deal. Food, homemade chicken soup and salad and goulash and bread and butter and dessert, and all for peanuts. And they have a long and short sleeve shirt with their exercise logo on it. You know, they're big on exercise over there at Dunkirk. They have a huge center, which is terrific. They can actually run around the school that they're in, and it has laps. You can do laps right around the school in the old hallways. Just terrific. Big bingo they have, which is the big deal, and it's scheduled for January 22nd, February 19th, and March 12th. And you get money, lots of money. Everybody loves bingo anyway. Seniors all play it. I play it. They have pinochle, craft rummage, bake sale planned for February 15th, 10 to 3 at the Senior Center. You can rent tables and get in on the action, even whether you're not a member there. They're having, lots of things happening. Niagara Falls trip to the casino, of course, is coming up. February, that'll be January 20th. And Salamanca on February 17th. And they're returning to Atlantic City. They had a great time down there. August 24th through 27th. You might want to plan on that. 3 days, 3 nights, and it's peanuts again. If you want to join the seniors over in Dunkirk or just want to meet some of them, you don't have to join. Come to their meeting. Next meeting is January 9th at 9 a.m. Sinclairville, not too far away, Dunkirk, Sinclairville. They have new officers. Richard Smith of Sinclair will serve as the president. And most of the senior clubs are now involved in their elections for new officers. And the officers serve for nothing. They just have a lot of hard work. I wanted to mention they have Meals on Wheels, which they are doing for the Castaneda Valley area. And they do them 3 days a week at the Sinclair Fire Department. And thank you, Sinclair Fire Department, which really helps a lot of seniors. They have many volunteers, and they can always use more, incidentally, for the Meals on Wheels. Silver Creek seniors, next meeting January 7th, and they'll have a pizza party. Can't beat that. Nothing like a good pizza. I just made one last night, and I like to chop up onions, peppers, sweet peppers, and then also some spicy peppers. I like the banana peppers, those yellow ones. They're fantastic. And some olives, and extra cheese, and plenty of pepperoni, smear it all over the place. Pop that in the oven, and you got a whole meal for a week. Each slice is a meal. Okay, hello there, Brockton, Portland. Your officers will be installed January 27th, and touring lunch will be there at the Legion. Bring your table service and dish or chair. A lot of people do that for their senior meetings or their clubs, and that saves a lot of hassle. You just take your dishes back home and wash them yourself. Sheridan Happy Seniors. They have a Happy Senior song. I've got to have them come over and do that. Shirley Sikorsky led the prayer over there this time, and Shirley Sikorsky called the roll. And the minutes were approved. Angie Logan is the new Sunshine Girl, which is the person who spreads sunshine and meets people who are sick and takes care of them, makes sure everything's all right. That's a nice thing about the senior clubs. They care for each other. You have somebody, you have a family. You have an extra communal family that will come and help you when you need it and will be all over you even when you don't need it. They're there for you. Next meeting's January 7th. That's when the officer will change over, incidentally. That's at the Sheridan Happy Seniors, and they're telling me time is up. Stop talking. We have a good guest coming. We've got to save some time for Fred Crosscut. We also have John Hamels, Doc, who will be on shortly. And here's a public service announcement just for you. And when I come back, my cheaters will be gone. You won't recognize me anymore.
The environment is my passion. Every day, I live for the outdoors and all of its challenges. That's why I enlisted in the Coast Guard. Now, I serve to protect the environment and defend my country. It's like I was born for this.
Were you born ready for a greater challenge? Find out at GoCoastGuard.com.
Here we go.
New resolutions.
We've got. Hello, Doc. There you are. Doc Hamels here, and Doc shoots from the hip, and he's going to tell you about his New Year's revolutions.
Yeah.
Here you go. You're on, Doc.
Rebellion in 2014. Morning, everybody. Welcome to the show, and Fred. Good morning, as always. Good to see you. I'm usually the tall guy in the club here. What? I heard a voice. What did he say?
Fred said he's 6'2", right?
No, I'm 6'2".
How are you? 6'7". There you go.
All right.
And
Well,
here I'm a little squirt.
Yeah, squirt you are. Yeah. Well, anyways, good morning, everyone. And I see we all survived the first of the two holidays. And how was your holiday? Good?
Mine was terrific.
Good, ours too.
I had a great time with my daughter and family and everybody, and we carried on and just had a whooping good time. We have a tradition like most Irish families and Italian families especially.
I'm both.
We have fish on Christmas Eve, some kind of fishing. We've had for the last 50 years at my house, when we lived down by the water, we had our own crabs, we could catch them, crab bisque. And my son has taken over the duties, and does he do a job? He's been here cooking for us.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Jim, hello out there. You're on.
Anyways, well, we did the same thing. It was a great time. And right now, my son, Sean, he's up from Florida. He's in the studio today. Good morning, Sean. I know you can see me.
Big, handsome boy.
He takes after my father, I guess.
Well, he looks just like you, but his beard...
We got that Duck Dynasty look, with the beards and all.
Yeah, well, his beard is black. Yours is that funny white.
Hey. It's I don't know.
I know.
Whatever. Well, anyways, we went from the two of us and a dog to 9 of us and a dog. So we're taking shifts in the bathroom, but it's a lot of fun right now. He's up with Florida with his in-laws and his 3 kids, and we were getting some quality time with our youngest grandson, Raleigh. He and I had some quality sleep time. I was in charge of a baby yesterday, so I convinced him.
How old is Raleigh?
Raleigh's 9 months, and the other boys are like 10 and 7. So, anyways, but and they've never seen snow before, and what a thrill to see people There was what, one,
And
two, three, four of
fortunately-
them that had never seen snow
Yeah,
before.
fortunately, we had plenty of snow, too.
Well, we came in on Thursday evening, and it was right in the middle of that little blizzard we had, and it was terrific. They just had a great time. The boys are out sledding, and the dog is going nuts. Our dog, Max, he just jumps on the kids. He was stealing their hats, and in fact, he even pulled one of their pants down. He was grabbing anything he could as they were going down the sledding. And I'm sure, don't tell me now, but I bet you have a good sledding story, Reed. Well, anyways, all I want to talk about today was, I don't do New Year's resolutions because I've never kept one in my life, I don't think, so I just kind of give up on those. But I just realized tomorrow night we're going to have the other side of the family come down, and it's all the Hamels. Last night we were all together at Meter's restaurant. You know where Meter's is, Fred. And it was all Barb's side of the family. But I was just looking across there, and there's 4 generations of us telling stories, laughing, remembering, things that we've all done in the past, and remembering people that weren't around the table anymore. And so this holiday has been a lot about family for me, and I feel badly for those that don't appreciate or have the opportunity to have that experience. But for us, it really makes a wonderful texture to our lives, where you can see your children's children, you can see your father or mother, watching us watch our kids watch their kids, and it's just a great tradition. And I know, Reed, you've got that in your household too.
Sure do.
So anyways, so I just wanted to wish everybody, of course, the best of the new year, and learn from the last year and the years past, and move forward with the best spirit as we can. The world's the world, and if you go back and look at all the history, we complain about all the things we're complaining about in society today, 20 years ago, 40 years, 60 years ago. It just goes round and round and round. So it's like, take a deep breath, don't get so depressed, and as they say, drop your pants and slide on the snow or on the ice. They used to say on MASH. So anyways, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year. Back to you, Reed.
Okay, thanks a lot. John Hamels, Doc, telling it like it is, and his New Year's revolutions.
Revolution.
We got with us a great guest. He's been with us many times. He gives up his time on Saturday morning to come over here and give you the inside dope on what's going on in the area. And he could talk about almost anything, although one of his favorite topics is cows. You had a dairy farm for a long time, didn't you? And you finally gave it up to the Amish, right?
Sold the Amish, yeah.
Right. I guess they're the only ones who can afford to run a dairy farm anymore now,
Well,
because
it's long hours and hard work. So,
yeah. And of course they involve their children, and of
They
course,
certainly do. Yes.
They got into almost a shooting match with the New York State tax people about paying their kids.
Well, they have to pay their taxes.
They pay their taxes, I guess, but they weren't too happy about that one. All right, at any rate, what's new in the legislature? Anything? I always ask you that, and there's nothing.
Well, there's always, you can look back on obviously the 16 years I've been in, and you can look ahead to the next 2 to 4 years, depending on what you want to discuss.
Sure.
And I wrote down 7 or 8 things, but the one thing that I read in the paper this morning, and people are kind of encouraging and looking forward to, that I don't fully understand, and I couldn't help but think about driving over here when I was driving over here after reading the paper this morning about a good friend of mine, Doug Richmond, in Westfield. And the Startup New York program the governor has rolled out sounds interesting, but to me, he has not explained it yet. Obviously, you can take it's got to be a new business from what I understand, and you get a 10-year tax break. But what kind of new business can you bring in? And myself being a businessman, and I know Doug Richmond talked about this many times on the legislature, what kind of tax break do our businesses now get in New York State? I mean,
you'll pay no taxes, but what taxes don't you pay?
Well, what kind of taxes aren't they going to pay? And then after that 10 years, what kind of a commitment is there for them after that 10 years to stay here in New York State? So I think the legislature as a whole and the residents of New York State, obviously this sounds good, but what is the rest of the story? And of course, that is one thing that I'll continually watch and listen to, because as Doug and I talked many times, and many other legislators, business is important in Chautauqua County, but there's many businesses that pay a lot of taxes, and then they have some other business come in and not pay any. It's kind of rubbed people the wrong way. And then no one seemed to talk about this, but I know from being on the IDA board, having a CDL license.
What's the idea? You got to tell us.
Industrial Development Agency, which
Okay.
we can get into later, which I've had the honor of serving on for the last 2 years. But coupled with that is drug and alcohol test, is where I was going. And serving on the IDA board and looking at people that have to do pre-employment physicals, and this whole drug and alcohol test wasn't really enforced many years ago. But whether people want to accept the fact or not, a lot of these pre-employment physicals are failed because of the use of drugs. And so, I mean, clean it up, folks. Not only get the education, but to get off drugs. And this, to me, is a much bigger problem, getting people off drugs and alcohol. And for example, myself, I can talk very freely about it because when I drive a bus, I may pull in the bus garage in the morning, as many bus drivers do that are listening to this program. Okay, the fella's in there. Sherman happens to have the guy come right to the school. We used to have to drive to the WCA hospital to be tested, but as soon as you get off that route, you've been randomly picked, and you go in and you take your drug test and your alcohol test, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. But when I went to WCA hospital to do the drug and alcohol test, I asked the lady, I says, well, do you have that many drivers that really fail this? No, not that are permanent, but we have an awful time with people with pre-employment physicals passing the drug and alcohol test, and that's too bad. So I just happened to think of that while I was talking about this Startup in New York program.
Yeah, one of the complaints that the critics of our social services has is that they have to take the drug and alcohol test, but recipients of the funds don't.
Well, and here again, that brings me up to another topic, is they're trying to get their residency requirement in for welfare recipients.
Right, that's another one.
Well, I think that'll pass. I think even Keith Alstrom, who didn't support it at the last meeting, will be a co-sponsor this next month, because everyone, hey, we don't want people moving to Stapa County to get benefits. We won't mind if they move here and get jobs, but there's nothing is wrong that I can see, and it will pass next month, I think, to be a resident, and surely be a resident of this county to get welfare.
What will the changes
benefits.
be in the law, do you
A
think?
simple residency requirement. How long have you lived here? How long have you been here? Are you really a resident here? Do you have a job here? I don't know all the particulars, but I do know it didn't make the floor last month, but it will this next month. And I also know from being on the legislature, sitting at budget hearings, if a father is convicted of a drug charge, his welfare benefits may be taken away and he's in jail, but that doesn't mean the kids or the mother's welfare benefits are taken away.
Yeah,
So-
you have to protect the
yeah, you have to
children.
protect the children. So, and I think this is what the reason we're talking about all this stuff. We want to protect the children. We want to get them to break that trend of being on drugs. So this residency requirement is one of the things I had to talk about, and I think that'll come to fruition this next
Before
month.
you can get the generous
Yeah.
welfare benefits
Yeah.
of New York State versus Pennsylvania or
Right.
Alabama,
Right.
or they come
But-
flooding into New
yeah.
York.
But you just don't move to Stapa County to get welfare benefits.
Yeah, because it's killing us.
It certainly is. And one thing I want to clarify, that 20% tax increase that Reed mentioned before the show was something I said over a year ago. And it turned out it was not a 20% increase because of different mandates, different monies coming in. It was about a
They
2.5%.
found some money.
Well, you never know what's going to come in, and then when you get the unfunded mandates, you never know what's going to happen. You also get funding back from different projects. So in the end this year, after the legislature voted, I think it was a 2.5%, 2.1% increase.
Yeah, but actually, yeah, we have a phone call. You want to take a call?
We'll take a call. Yes. Make the time go fast, Reed.
Good morning, caller. You're on.
I was wondering what Mr. Crosscut thought about the Lakeshore Hospital closing, and is there anything that the legislative can do about that?
Yeah, that's a major one because it
Well,
services a lot of people in that
Well,
area.
and there's so many things been happening, and the NRG is a great thing. They finally got that turned around. But like Mr. Barillo is the legislator from that area. Petri Foods closed, and some other things happened. I really truly believe in talking to Mr. Barillo that there is a
Now,
private.
who's Mr. Barillo?
George Barillo is a county legislator from Hanover.
Okay.
And that's his district. And I also think that there is a proposition out there for an individual to buy it. And I think that the board of directors should accept that. And I don't know all the particulars there, but probably Mr. Barillo or the new county executive has got a real good handle on that. But to my estimation, that can't close, and I don't think it will close. But that board of directors and that administration, I think, has got to look at this offer, and I think that this generous offer made by this individual, in the end, I think that hospital may be sold to him to run it. But there's some politics involved, and I really can't go into much more than that. But I think they want to do an affiliation with a larger hospital, which is not a bad idea. But on the other hand, I think there is an offer there, and they're going to have to vote on it. That's from what I'm hearing.
Well, one of the problems is if the county owns it, we can't have the residential living wing to it.
Well, she's talking about the hospital in Lake Shore, in that area, not the county home.
But if we're talking, the county home is another matter, but we'll get into that.
We'll get into that too.
But I'm sure we will. I don't know, these hospitals have to have residential living, a wing for the people that don't need hospitalization but need some care.
Right. Well, look at Westfield. We finally saved that, and I was there this week for some tests last Monday, and they got St. Vincent people coming in, and they do a good job there, and now they're afloat, and I can't see why Lake Shore can't affiliate the same way.
You would think so.
And cash flow it and stay in business.
Yeah, well, Westfield is actually making a profit. And,
sure. But you think back a couple of years, we had that issue.
Yeah.
We talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
And the people stepped
forward. Well, they
forward.
tried to close it. And,
certainly.
My God, there was thunder and lightning, I'll tell you.
Yes.
Praise God, we got it saved.
We got it saved, yes,
Yeah.
with the help of a lot of people, just like the
yes.
NRG thing, and I want to thank the governor for that.
Yeah, well, what happened there on that NRG business?
Well, they're going to, from my knowledge, I didn't go to the rally, but from my knowledge, they're going to fire up three of the generators with natural gas now. So you can't have it both ways. If you want to have cheap energy and you want to have natural gas energy, that plant needed to be renovated as long as coal was not a factor. And so they still got to go to the Public Service Commission, to my knowledge, from what I've read and what I've heard. But I would hopefully think that will be approved, because that would be absolutely devastating to the city of Dunkirk.
And to the whole county.
And to the whole county in the end, but particularly the city of Dunkirk with the school system and the county and the Dunkirk County government down there.
Yeah, it would have cut their taxes in half, and what are you going to do now?
Well, to raise their taxes, but now at least you've got some.
I mean, cut their income from.
Oh my God, yes! Plus the employment of those people.
Yeah,
so
400 people.
Now we'll see what happens over the course of the next 3 to 5 years.
Let's hope so. The NRG plant. Fortunately, the governor actually made a trip up here. He said he's never seen so many people.
Well, you know,
at a rally.
Here again, keep it up, folks. That's what you got to do, and it doesn't matter if it's this or the repeal the SAFE Act. I mean, you have to keep the fire going. Keep it going.
The SAFE Act. That's. I've never seen so many signs in front yards in my life.
Well, I tell you, there's more around this end of the state than there's anywhere across the state as I travel around, because we have a very active group here.
Right. Well, also, the NRA's in shock still, because it's a total violation of our Second Amendment. You know, you can't buy ammunition without going through it, paying for a check now.
I really didn't know that.
State,
I haven't bought any ammunition for a year.
That's part of the deal. Yeah. They won't let you buy ammunition anymore.
Is that right?
You have to have a background check and pay for it.
Is that right?
Yeah. Just to buy a box of 22s, you know. Give me a break here.
Well, I didn't go any deer hunting this year, so.
Basically, this is by taking away your access to ammunition. What they're doing is violating the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Mm-hmm. And of course, they sneaked this through. Cuomo did in the middle of the night.
Yes.
And bang! No public. They didn't violated the law of the state. No public input. No time for public discussion. It didn't go through committee. They just rushed it through. Yep. And praise the Lord, our legislators up here, Andy and Kathy Young, have they voted against it, both of them.
Yep.
But in the meantime, Cuomo, thinks he's running for something. The guy couldn't be elected dog catcher in the upstate area.
Right.
They wouldn't elect him anything. They would because it's his doing.
Yes.
Even though he did come down and he backed up the energy anyway.
Yes, he did, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
So stick on the positives, right, Reed?
Try to. But he's made felons out of a lot of gun owners up here, just automatically, because they changed the law. Yep. And what's a legal gun and what isn't.
Yes. Well, one other thing, too, that we talked before the show, the snowmobile trails were open one day, then we got rain. There's not enough base right now to open them again. We're hoping for some more cold weather this next week and hopefully some snow. But the volunteers did a great job all the way from Cherry Creek to Chautauqua to Bemis Point to to Brockton to Westfield. But the volunteers are out there working. I can assure you now they've got to go through also, after some of the high water, and make sure the trails are passable. I know when I went out, I marked some signs last Saturday of different properties that couldn't be on until after deer season. And it was wet. Well, last Saturday, if you recall, it was raining.
Yeah.
And there were some properties in my area that I went out and with my gator. I didn't take my snowmobile. Now, 2 days before that, I had my snowmobile out. But last Saturday, I didn't.
What's a gator?
Well, that's a little four-wheeled cart. Like, you know, it's, you don't know what a little gator is. It's one of those little four-wheel drive things with a dump cart on it, 2 seats in it.
It's a what? I heard somebody just called in.
Well, it's, I threw my stakes in there.
It's an all-terrain vehicle.
It's an all-terrain vehicle, yes. It's more than a four-wheeler. But that's what we do the trails with when we get on there.
Uh-huh. And what do you have to do to clear them? You say you cleared them?
Well, they brush hog them. You go through. I had to take my chainsaw and cut a few logs out of the trails.
Oh, they fall right across.
Oh, yeah. All the clubs do this. And I think that's, you still want to promote what clubs do, and there's so many volunteers. It's just kind of like, it doesn't matter if it's a sea lion project or the snowmobile trails. It wouldn't happen without volunteers.
Yeah, well, I understand that. I permit people to use a trail going through my property.
And we appreciate it.
And, well, it doesn't cost anything, and it's a wonderful recreational thing, and it's just part of the beauty of Chautauqua County. And I do remember that at one point, I think I've told you this, at one point the beavers got to work, and they created a situation whereby they flooded the area.
Oh, yeah.
And so it now becomes part of the wetlands. Mm-hmm. And the snowmobilers are trying to get a permit to clear it up, you know, to clean it up and get the water off and so forth.
Yeah.
They couldn't do it. It became so complicated and everything.
Yep.
Well, one night, my neighbor tells me he heard a lot of stuff going on, engines running and everything. And the next morning, we came out and it was all cleared up. Somehow, God had done a miraculous job here.
We got a caller?
We got a caller. The caller is delaying, I guess.
That's okay. We can also talk about, you mentioned the IDA. And
okay, now again, what's the IDA? The
Industrial Development Agency.
Okay.
And I had the pleasure of serving on that the last 2 years. And there's a lot of criticism out there about the IDA, but I can assure you we have a great IDA in this county along with the county planning department. And I served on the loan committee along with Mike Metzger and some bankers. Mike and I were the only 2 non-bankers on the loan committee. Nothing goes through the IDA board until it goes through the loan committee. And then I also had the pleasure of serving on the IDA board. And
now you're going to continue after?
No, I won't be continuing. I think Mr. Barillo will be chairman of the Planning and Economic Committee, and I think Mr. Barillo will do a fine job. He will be appointed to that board through the position I held.
What's the IDA do?
Well, I tell you, they do so much in this county, but the main thing that we did on the IDA board when we had an individual, and I won't tell the name, but it's now it's passed, that wanted to buy a countertop business in Clymer, New York. So that individual came to us, and they had gotten some money from another bank with a line of credit, and they needed the rest of it to continue to buy the inventory and the machinery. So we granted them a loan for the other part of this with security. It's not something that we do just out of the blue, but at the loan committee meeting, we went over the stipulations of the loan, we went over the terms of the loan, the interest rate of the loan, and what the security would be. So then from the time the loan committee met and the minutes were taken, then the resolutions were put together, and at the board meeting we approved the resolutions. So that was one thing we did for an individual in Clymer in a business. We've done this with so many businesses, but we have Mrs. Barbito in Fredonia that just did some work for the Petrie cookie thing in Westfield. We also have people in the IDA office in Jamestown. If you have a project that you need extra funding with and you cannot get fully funded by the bank, you come and work with the IDA.
I think they're funding pierogies in Westfield.
They are, and that was one of the first people. But see, you couldn't talk about any of that stuff till after it happened. Then the IDA is also working with the Mapleville, the old Mapleville plant in Clymer.
We got a call coming.
You go ahead. We can talk later about some other stuff.
Let's talk about the Mapleville plant. But first of all, you're on, caller.
Well, good morning, Mr. Powers, and Happy New Year, and Happy New Year
Happy New Year to
again.
you, yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Crosscut, I want to thank you for your service to our county, and I know you're county legislator for just a few more days.
A few more days, yep.
But as people leave positions or office, is there anything that you think, geez, I wish I had gotten to and I didn't, and or we couldn't get done? Could you kind of share a little bit of that?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me in my district is the fact that we tried to do what we could in Sherman with Crick. There's been
Crick.
Yeah, the over here, the people that come in and do rebuild communities.
Housing?
Rehab building.
Yeah, rehab buildings. I originally got Crick involved in Sherman. They did a lot of work, and they've on both sides of the street, and I want to thank them for that. I want to thank the people of Sherman for that, because we have done some major renovations, but it seemed like it's taken so long to get it accomplished, and all the buildings that have been renovated still aren't occupied. That's number one. The other thing that's an ongoing thing for this community is Chautauqua Lake, and we must continue, and we will continue, and I will be part of that through the Chautauqua County Soil and Water Board to continue to work with the algae in the lake, the weeds in the lake, the nitrates in the lake for the total maximum daily load. So I'm proud to still be able to be a part of that through the Chautauqua County Soil and Water Board with stream bank restoration, planting of trees, working with landowners, and I feel this is one of my qualities because I know a lot of people, you just don't walk on people's property without permission. Pardon me, but with the fact that I'm on Soil and Water Board, I've been around, I'm a former dairy farmer, I think I'm going to continue to work in that respect. And of course, I look back at the jail project, I look back at this building that we're in right now. I said to Joe Chuso and Mark Thomas when I first was elected, let's buy the Mayville School. Oh, no, we'll never be able to utilize all that space. Well, lo and behold, look what happened.
You're bursting at the seams now.
Well, yeah, it's full. I think at the last town board meeting, I think they're going to rent out their final space. But it was probably done the way it should have been done with the town of Chautauqua, because at the time, we'll never do anything up there. Well, look, we have the courts up here. And
we have us here.
We have us here.
We're here.
And so, I mean, that I look back is one of the things that I feel like I was a part of. So, yes, I could go on and on and on, but I just have never been one to brag. I'm not trying to brag, but you asked a question. I certainly have been a major player in a lot of that stuff and thoroughly have enjoyed it. But yet, there's still more work to be done, and I have confidence in this newly elected legislature that they will get it accomplished. I look back, I enjoyed Greg Edwards, I enjoyed Mark Thomas. I was fortunate enough to serve with both of those people. I was involved with the IDA with Rich Alexander. I've been involved with the IDA with Bill Daly. And so I could keep going on, and I think that partially answers your question. But the other thing up here is the emergency service facility. I mean, we're so blessed, and there was so much controversy when they wanted to move that from Jamestown. And some of the people hearing that, I'm sure will remember that. But we have all the hazmat equipment up here now. We have an EMS facility. And here again, that couldn't have been done without the help of volunteers. Denny Barmore's Rangers, anyone listening knows who I'm referring to. But my God, the work that they've done, the dedication they've had, and to look at this facility here, courts, fire service, it just does my heart good to think that I was maybe a little bit of a player in some of those things, as long as
Well, you served long and hard.
Yeah, and
that doesn't mean you might never serve again, though.
Well, it doesn't mean, and that doesn't mean I won't stay involved. I mean, I'm not bitter. It was a close race.
Well, you were screwed up by the fact that there was nothing running with you. He had a lot of people running, and over there everybody came out to vote.
Yeah, they did, and that's why I don't believe in term limits, because whether you're on a school board or whether you're on a county legislature, when the people think it's time, you're gone. That doesn't mean I'll never serve on a school board again, or that doesn't mean I'll never run for legislature again.
Or never drive a bus.
Or never drive a bus again. But my wife and I are looking for some quality time together, and as Mr. Hamels mentioned, we have grandchildren too.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe some of you might share the guilt that you didn't spend the time you wanted to with your kids, but you're sure as heck are going to try to spend that quality time with your grandkids.
Well, you know, you're closer to your grandchildren because as people grow up, kids grow up, they rebel against their parents.
Yeah.
So if their parents are liberal, they will become very conservative. Their children will do the same thing, and since their parents now are conservative, they'll become liberal.
Yeah.
So you will be liberal, and your grandchildren will be liberal, and you get along fine.
That could be, and I have to bring this up, and she won't be embarrassed, as Lori Cornell was, I consider a friend of mine, a fellow legislator. She was really hurt when she lost a race, but I said, Lori, you may or may not know she has 4 young boys. I said, the most important thing you can do is take care of those 4 young boys, because they need you. Don't feel bad about the election. You're a bright young lady. You have time to run for another office that's down the road. But those 4 young boys are the most important things in your life right now.
Well, she bit off a big apple to bite there because it was a tough race. She was up against a Herculean candidate, and he just edged her out.
I won't go into the politics, but I just wanted the people to know that it's important to raise your children and your grandchildren, and that's what it's all about.
Well, when she comes in, her kids help out in the studio, you know.
Well, that's... I won't go there, Reed. So, do we have another caller, or do we want to keep going on here?
Fred Crosscut, a long-term guest here, and he'll continue to be one. He's always got his finger on the pulse of Chautauqua County, and he knows exactly what's going on, whether he's in the legislature or not. People whisper in his ear, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you mentioned the county home, and I mentioned the incoming the county executive, as you know, is Vince Horrigan. And I think that there'll be another proposal through. I'm not aware of anything right now, but I know that this new legislature, I think the majority of it will vote to privatize the county home. I don't think they'll probably come out with one in January because some of these new legislators need time to get their feet in the ground. I think the problem will come when there is another offer. I think it's going to be similar to the last offer with similar stipulations, because the offer may come, for example, on January 20th, and it's got to be voted on by February 20th. Well, that may mean a special meeting or whatever, but those are the kind of offers that are out there. I know Vestacare last time, as I sat and listened to the guy, many wanted that offer to be more than 30 days, 45 days. Well, the guy was out buying other nursing homes, and he says, this is my offer. Basically, take it or leave it. You have 30 days to act on it, and we're down to the 25th day. So I think to understand how all that works is there will be an offer, but I don't think you can push this new legislature. I think you give them time to digest the offer, ask more questions, give these new people a chance to get their feet in the ground, and then privatize it. I know there's article in the paper.
Privatize it is a kind term for sell it out, sell seniors out.
Well, no, and see, that's probably where you and I disagree.
Yeah, we sure do on that
I know
one.
we do, and that's fine, but I want people to know that we're not selling any seniors down the road. That's not the intention whatsoever. But there are some issues. I know today there was an article in the paper about a house being there. I don't know if it's rented or not, but it probably should be. The gas well. The thing people forget is, how good is the gas well? I don't know. And we couldn't, any money that we took after hooking the gas well up was going to come off our reimbursements. That's a true statement. So it was no use for us to hook it up. So that's it for the county home. The other thing is gas wells in general. And I know that myself being an agricultural individual and a farmer.
And the frickin' fracking's coming up.
Well, and that's fine. Let it come up. I'm not sure where I want to land on this. That may surprise people, but I know just this last month, Farm Bureau annual meeting, they did not pass a moratorium on fracking, but on the other hand, they didn't pass legislation that promoted fracking because we're still concerned. Yes, it may bring a lot of wealth to some, it may bring jobs, but I, for one, don't want my water polluted either. On the other hand, I don't think we should jump to conclusions. I think you can put moratoriums through, but what are those moratoriums going to mean? I know the town of Chautauqua was working with Joel Sechrist right now to write up something. But we have issues all the way from roads and weight limits. I think when the time comes, if we have wells in Chautauqua County that are fracked, we need to have a place to take care of our waste from those wells.
Well, that's, and this interesting thing is, they won't tell us what the wastes are.
I know, and that's wrong.
Secret. It's a
I
secret.
agree. I agree with you.
They say we're using very deadly chemicals, but they won't say what they are or how many they're using or how far. It's a secret.
Well, we need the facts, Reed, and I think that's
facts.
what we're all about. We want to know the facts.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing, there may be enough gas under Chautauqua Lake to do all the things we want to do. But that's sure not going to happen for a while. And right now, the price of gas is down. So I'm with the rest of you people. I'm not sure I want to be in play for a moratorium, but I have many questions. And I also represent Farm Bureau, and I'll continue to represent Farm Bureau and the farmers. And they did not pass any legislation promoting gas at their last annual meeting. And Farm Bureau is a very, very large vocal group of agricultural people in New York State, and they have a lot of input into these decisions. So we'll wait and see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Well, fracking entails also digging sideways, horizontally,
Exactly.
and they can take your gas, you don't even know it.
Well, and the other thing that people don't know, and I went to this energy conference, Mrs. Haidu was there lecturing. Some of us have well leases from years ago, and they're shallow well leases. Well, what happens to them? Is that company that holds these leases of some of us farmers around the county still in force? And is a big company like Chevron eventually going to end up with our leases? So there's so many unanswered questions about these old leases that I think that bears some discussion too. Because the Utica and the Marcellus, Utica is probably more prevalent from what I hear and what I read than the Marcellus in this area.
These are the belts of gas.
Yeah, belts of gas. So when you go down, you can put like up to 6 wells in one location and go out and frack, and that's what we're concerned about. I don't want to see anybody's wells polluted. I don't want to see us lose our water. But I think more study has to be done. As I said, more facts have to come out. Give us the answers to some of these questions.
Let us know about the frack facts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we want clean water.
Well, we're concerned about that, the chemicals they're using, and also the fact that there's no protection for people who are sideways to this gas. They can whip your gas away for you and know it hit you.
Right. And then there's farmers. I mean, we don't want to see our fields tore up and lose our top dirt that produces our crops.
Yeah.
A lot of concern for that. And then, of course, you speak of water. The former county executive, Greg Edwards, and now Vince, and they're trying to do something in the North County with the water. And here again, people want good, clean, fresh water. And so there will be a water district set up in that area sometime, because they just got a major grant from New York State to continue to work on it. So I think that's a positive thing. And the reservoir at Fredonia cannot supply the water to all those places: Westfield, Barcelona, Portland, Silver Creek, Hanover. But we have to continue to work on that, and I'm very confident in the future that they will.
Westfield has a series of ponds, I might add. They have the Minton Dam up there on the hill, which collects a lot of our water.
And see, the more you talk, the more you know.
And furthermore, when the Minton Dam is running down a little bit, they stick a hose in the Chautauqua Creek. If that fails, there's still Lake Erie.
See, you're a wealth of knowledge, Reed. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we do have a lot of water in Westfield.
But could you supply all the way from Ripley to Portland to Brockton?
We have, I think our lines go along those, they just put some in from Barcelona out toward Portland. And exactly where they come and go is not, I do not know. But I do know we do have quite a bit of water. We have a tremendous pond, the Minton Pond, up in just up the hill.
Yeah.
And we do have, again, they extract it from Chautauqua Lake or Lake Erie if necessary.
Yeah.
We're fortunate we have the largest, the largest supply of fresh water in the world right here along the lakes.
Yes, we do.
Lakes. Fred Crosscut telling us some of the inside dope and giving us his opinion on anything and everything. And anybody wants to call in, we still have a few minutes. The number is easy to remember. It's 753-JACK, like jack your phone in. 753-JACK or 753-5225. Anybody calls in will automatically get a hero's hat.
Well, there's 2 more things we can bring up in the next 10 minutes. I know one thing is the sewers around the lake. I know that'll be a big ticket item, but I think that will help reduce a total maximum daily load, which is what Tom Carlson and the sewer plants are concerned about right now. They're treating it right now, but eventually the sewers will have to be finished around Chautauqua Lake. That's going to be a big deal because that's our jewel, along with some of our colleges and whatnot.
And we don't want to mention one of the after effects of the stuff in the lake. It's seaweed.
Well, seaweed and algae. And
algae.
And I had a meeting here a week ago with some people from up around the Finger Lakes region and Cuyahoga Lake. And we're not the only lake in New York State that has algae bloom. And so I think we'll continue to work on that. And those are something that's going to be in the works for next year also. So I think, Mr. Horrigan, and I respect him with the utmost, has certainly got his hands full when he steps into that legislature office.
Especially in view of the fact that there's a very deadly algae that's growing now that can kill you.
Yeah, well, I guess there is. I know a lot of them are harmless, but they're still there. Now, if there's something that can cause damage, I suppose that needs to be addressed. But how do we get rid of it? You know, and
same with the water chestnuts that are growing out
yeah.
there. How do you get rid of them? You can't.
Well, and I talked to Ruth Lindeen the other day from the watershed there, and they've drained their ponds now, but they're still not rid of the water chestnuts.
Yeah.
They've still got to figure out, and they've been doing a great job of pulling them out and whatnot. But along with Jeff Deers and some of the people in the planning department, so we got a lot of things going on in this county, and we will continue to work on them. And a lot of positive things, and I think I've touched on many of them today. And so we'll see where it ends up, how it goes, and see what next year brings.
Well, next year is going to bring a new legislature. Tell me, what's happened to the legislature now? There's different numbers, right?
Right.
How will this affect the legislature?
Well, there's 19 members now. There used to be 25.
So we cut back a lot.
So we cut back a lot, and that's what the people wanted, and that's fine. And I was one of the people that Mr. Hemline and I were going to run for the same district. Boy, what happened in my district, it was Sherman and Chautauqua, basically. Mm-hmm. And then I got into Mina. And that's where we ended up with the race, and that was probably, he and I were the only really contested race, because the rest of them, like Larry Bormore, ran for clerk, so that worked out for Mark Tarbrig. In Jamestown, they lost, I think, three legislators. They lost Mr. Hoyer, they lost Vicki James, and one other one I can't think, Lori Cornell, because she ran for county clerk. So it'll be a different legislature, but a good legislature. I respect those people. I know those people. Fred Larson's back on. I served with him. He was a county attorney when I was first on the legislature. So a lot of familiar faces. Terry Nebal used to be the Republican election commissioner. He'll be on now. Steve Keith's wife from Jamestown, or from Fredonia, he's a mayor. His wife will be on now. So, a lot of old ones will be back, and there'll be some new faces. So it'll certainly be a challenge, and I think the county clerk and the executive get sworn in on the first, along with some legislators, and then I think the full legislature will be sworn in on. I think the second maybe is their first meeting. The reorganizational meeting will be the first business day after the new year. So that's when my term officially ends, and the new ones get sworn in. One thing I did have on my list too, in the next 7 to 8 minutes, is Cornell Cooperative Extension. This will be a discussion for your agricultural people out there. You probably read in the paper that the USDA moved down on Sylvan Avenue with the County Soil and Water Board. I urge 4-H people, I urge Extension people to continue to monitor the situation with Cornell Cooperative Extension, which is housed at the Ag Center. They're the only.
Where is that?
That's on Turner Road, or up on Airport Hill. But see, that used to house USDA, Soil and Water Board, and Extension. 2 of those 3 organizations are now out of there, leaving a building that's somewhat empty. It's still a county-owned building. People, we need to keep Extension in that Ag Center. The 4-H program is valuable. That's also where all our ag programs come out of for dairy, and our grape stuff is, some of that's handled up there as well as in Westfield. Plus all the nutrition programs that the county works with. They have a staff up there. So I know that lease for that will be coming up in January. I plan to be involved with that in the form of a Farm Bureau member and a promoter of agriculture. But I urge the people listening that can hear this program to keep a handle on what's going to happen with Cornell Cooperative Extension. They certainly cannot afford to have their rent raised to stay in that building. But we don't know what that'll be until probably the January meeting when they do another lease.
So it's a whole new ball game.
So it's a whole new ball game for them.
Yeah.
I'd love to see some other agencies move in there. I won't go into the details of why they're not. That's up to Mr. Spanos and the people that were doing the negotiations. But the negotiations fell through. USDA moved to a different facility at the old Ames Plaza on Savannah Avenue.
Whoever that is.
Well, it used to be the Big N. But for the farmers in the listening group, that used to be, the Ag Center was a one-stop facility for all your agricultural stuff, all the way from your USDA loans to your Soil and Water Board to Extension. Now that's divided. And anyone listening can remember when we used to go down to the federal building in Jamestown. And finally, in the Jurassic era, in the Frank Bratt era, they built the Ag Center. And that was to be a one-stop shop for agriculture.
And it's changing.
Now it's changing.
Now, I remember back when I was a kid, and you never see them anymore. You used to be able to go to any ag center and you buy grain and food for the cattle and whatever. It came in burlap bags.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen a burlap bag
Well, there's
for generations now. We use them for everything too.
Oh yeah, and you can still buy burlap, but I assume burlap went up in price, and now they have plastic bags, basically.
Caller.
They're slippery.
We got a caller. Good
Good,
morning,
we got
caller.
4
Last
minutes.
second. You're on.
Well, good morning. This is Linda Spalding.
Well,
How
hi,
are you?
Linda.
It's a beautiful day today, isn't it? It's like spring.
I know it is spring. It's over 40.
I know it. Good morning, Fred. How
Morning.
are you? It's
I'm
good to
just
see
fine.
you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
How's your dogs doing?
They're pretty good. They just came in from their walk.
Oh, okay.
It's quite nice out there. There's quite a few dogs out there, so I wanted to bring them in before there was an altercation.
Yeah, right. So what's new? What's new with you?
Linda, what was your father's name?
My father's name? Well, my maiden name is O'Connor. He was James J. O'Connor.
Yeah, because I thought I knew a Spalding, but maybe I didn't.
Well, there's a lot of Spaldings around here. That's Doug's family name. Doug is originally from Corey. And I know that there's a Keith Spalding, I think, in Jamestown or something.
And there are a lot of Spalding. They have a lot of balls.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Linda. we'll let you speak.
Well, anyway, I wish we were direct descendants of that wealthy family
Yeah,
that
the
has
ball
the
people.
sports equipment. That would be nice. But Doug said that they all came over from the village of Spalding in England, and they're all related somehow.
How about that? They must all be related to the Bushes then.
Well, they are related to the Bushes.
Okay,
Bush family.
well, Linda, it's nice hearing from you. We got one last caller. And do you have a message for us about one of the services you provide?
Well, people should call the Office for the Aging, and of course I have the senior employment and free computer training, and the number to call in Mayville is 753-4471.
Okie dokie. Thanks a lot, Linda Spalding.
Thank you, Linda.
You, and have a great weekend, and Happy New Year.
And you too. Caller, you're on. Last minute. Hello? Caller, you're on. I guess our caller's no longer on.
There. I just have a quick question for Mr. Crosscut.
Sure.
Let's get our soil tested now.
Go ahead.
What was the question?
Which of the facilities do we get our soil tested in now?
Well, I'm assuming you can either, did you take it to the extension office before to get it tested, or did you take it to Soil and Water Board?
I understand that you had to go up on Turner Road to get it done before.
Well, I think they did, Dave Wilson with the Soil and Water Board did some of the soil testing, but I also know Extension probably does that also. Myself personally, I go to Farmer's Mill in Sherman, I get the bags, I go and take my soil probe, and I take my samples, and I dry them out, and I send them into bags to either Penn State or Cornell for full analysis, is what I do personally. But I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer, but I know that you can call the same number for Soil and Water Board and they'll tell you, or you can call the same number for Cornell Co-op Extension. The phone lines are still the same as they were before.
There you go, caller. All right.
Yes, thank you. There seemed to be...
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Fred, you got about 30 seconds. And then we're off because I just got this message coming straight in from the pipeline. We're out of here.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And thank the people that supported me. And we'll be looking forward to coming back again maybe as chairman of Soil and Water Board. So have a happy new year, and thanks for your support over the years. And I really enjoyed serving you. Okay?
Fred Crosscut, thanks a lot, Fred. You come back soon?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
We have plenty more. We never even tapped what we could talk about. I want to thank everybody out there. Sorry, last caller, but we'll catch you next time Fred's around, or you can always call his office. In the meantime, I want to wish everybody a wonderful, happy, prosperous, and healthy, especially, New Year. And I want to remind you that we have certain people here we really have to thank. Chuck Kelsey, Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Randy Burt, Chris Ramaker, Jeff Zook, Dan Zenz, and finally John Hamels. May all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.